One of the questions I'm often asked as an openly gay man is when I first knew. Truth is, I'm not really sure. It was 10 years ago this month before I told anyone, but how or why or when? I guess like most gay people I know, it just happened. By the time high school came around, there was no question. I liked boys, and my gay closet was pretty much already built. Each shelf in that closet stored different pieces from my life. On one shelf, piano playing. In middle school, a boy had called me a fag because of this, so I tucked it neatly away. Then there was a shelf for words that might trigger a lisp. Girlfriends had a shelf of their own, as did nights I cried out to God. During my freshman year of college, I had panic attacks so severe that at times the walls in my bedroom seemed like they had come to life and were taking deep, long breaths. I would hear what sounded like whispers. I would have ringing in my ears. If I slept at all, it was from pills that I'd chased down with shots of vodka. You need lifestyle changes, my doctor told me. You're too stressed. But I couldn't tell him why. So with nowhere to turn, I did the only thing that I knew to do. I gave God a final chance. And to let him know how serious I was, I dropped out of school and went to work as a youth minister. I spent that year and a half reading books on how to not be gay. And when the sexual urges got bad enough, I'd call the Christian television network and ask the phone operator to rebuke what I thought was an unclean spirit. But none of this was doing anything to make me straight. After my time in that little church, I moved to Wilmington, North Carolina, and went back to school. It was there in an internet chat room that I met my first boyfriend. He was a freshman, I was a junior. He lived his life openly, I did not. During that relationship, I began to see my sexuality in a different light. What I had thought to be a perversion was now being lived out as a loving connection between two individuals. The fact we were both male had little to do with any of it. When I was finally ready to tell someone, I made an appointment to see a professor of mine named Dr. Irvin. I must have sat there a good half hour before anything came out of my mouth. Then finally, one by one, I began to remove those dusty items from their shelves. First, the piano playing. I told Dr. Irvin that I was starting to pick it up again. I then thought out loud about how my ex-girlfriends might react upon the news that I'm gay. The hardest part of that conversation was reliving those panic attacks, that semester that almost caused me to end it all. When I was finished, Dr. Irvin asked if she could hug me. She pulled me close, and I could feel her warm tears dripping onto my face. She held me as if she wanted to protect me, as if she knew that stepping outside of her office would mean stepping into a world where many didn't feel the way she did. In the months that followed, Betsy, as she asked me to call her, would invite me to her home. She'd make sandwiches, and we'd sit on the patio and talk about what life was like growing up in a fishing village, politics, the latest articles she was trying to get published. Then one day I stopped by to tell her that I'd be moving. Up to New York City, I told her, to be a film director. She had just learned that she was pregnant. She told me that if it's a girl, she wanted to name her after Willa Cather. They had both grown up in Nebraska. I told her I thought that was brilliant. After I moved to New York, Betsy and I lost touch. Around her birthday 2 years ago, I called a mutual friend to see if he still had Betsy's phone number. He told me that Betsy had been battling breast cancer and would love to hear from me. I put that on my list of things to do, but before I got around to it, I received an email from that friend. It was short and to the point. I'm not sure if you've heard it or not, he wrote, but Betsy passed away this week. He included a link to her obituary. She was just 43. October 11th is National Coming Out Day, a day for gay and lesbians who've opened their closet door to celebrate and to reflect. For those still searching for the strength to do the same, this will be yet another painful reminder of their reality. I'm not sure why I chose to tell Betsy. There were certainly others in my life who would have listened without casting me into fire and brimstone, but maybe Betsy had been sent my way. Or maybe, after all these years, God had finally answered my prayers.
Miles Christian Daniels lives in San Francisco, where he is a writer, filmmaker, and moonlighting blues pianist.